Let's go back to the beginning. How did you go from being a lawyer to running a global luxury brand?
Okay. I started just filming videos about the products we were selling, and people were absolutely intrigued. It's incredible that we even have this. I started reaching out to influencer after influencer, and honestly, I had door after door slammed in my face. I had almost given up. I opened my Instagram and the account is blowing up.
How many views have we had in the past year on our TikTok account?
275 million.
It's crazy.
Hi, I'm Hanushka. I'm a professional bag addict and I have more bags than anyone else I know.
What is the most money you've ever taken in a day at Celia?
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, I do. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Passenger Princess. Today in the passenger seat we have Hanushka Toni, who is the founder of the biggest luxury reseller in the UK, Sellier. Hanushka started Sellier in 2019 and she has boomed to success using social media to create viral content. Let's hear her story.
Hi Isobel.
Hello.
It's amazing to be here.
Let's go back to the beginning. How did you find a love for luxury?
So when we first moved to the UK, I was about 5. We moved from Azerbaijan that, to be honest, at the time was this crumbling post-Soviet country, didn't have much money. It was a world away from glamour and luxury. And we moved to the UK and it felt like we had
I've
arrived.
been to your first house as well.
You have, and it
In
felt
Croydon.
like we arrived in a different planet. And even Croydon at the time felt like the height of glamour and chicness. And my mum, who you also know, Dina, she was always super interested in luxury. So I remember being really young, and at the time, obviously, we weren't exactly wealthy, but she would save up for 6 months and buy a pair of little Dolce & Gabbana shoes with like little emblems on them and wear them around Croydon. And that's when I really got interested in luxury and what it represented and symbolized for everyone. And so with the years, I kind of considered what I wanted to do, and somehow I ended up as a lawyer in the city.
And then how did you go from being a lawyer to running a global luxury brand? Because that's a big step.
Yeah. I guess the difference is I never really wanted to be a lawyer. For me, that was kind of a career path that I did because it felt sensible, it felt safe, and there was a very clear progression about where I was going. But 3 years into sitting in this dusty, dead office in the city, working long hours, I just realised that this wasn't what I wanted
Not
for
for
myself.
you.
Not
That's
for
how
me,
I
love.
felt when I was in
Not for me.
That's how I
Yeah.
felt when I was working at Burgess Salmon. I used to come in and I just felt like, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing every day. It just doesn't feel right. Before you know it, it's 11 p.m. and you've been there since 7 a.m. and you haven't left.
Yeah, and my problem, I guess, for my personality, and I think this is you as well, is that you're living a life of conformity. You're always having to conform to someone else's rules, be a certain way, dress a certain way. And that's just exhausting
Doesn't work for us.
No, it's not
Doesn't
going to
work
work.
for us.
No,
We're too creative.
So I stayed in the law for a few years, and then one day I just woke up and I thought, I can't do this anymore. And I resigned. We moved to Monaco with my husband, and I didn't actually start running Sellier straight away, but I ended up getting a job in marketing. And that's where I really discovered how creative I was and how passionate I was about branding and luxury brands. I did that for a few years, and then Sellier came along.
And Celia started in the lockdown, and I feel like Celia really caught that lockdown boom that some businesses experience from social media. What do you think COVID and the lockdown did for Celia in terms of giving it that boost it needed?
In a sense, I could say I worked so hard, we had this amazing team, but so much of it was right place, right time, and an element of luck. I always say this, but I'm genuinely not sure I could have built the business that I built today if I had been starting out today. It was COVID, everyone was at home, we had this absolutely captive audience, people who were bored just on their sofas, and at the time I had a teeny tiny Instagram account. I started just filming videos about the products we were selling.
And going on live stream.
And people were absolutely intrigued because no one at the time was doing this. It was a completely new way of selling, quite novel, quite raw. not very cool. But yeah, I just put myself out there.
What was it like working with influencers in those early days?
It's interesting because very early on, I realised that we needed the support of other big influencers in order to get this account known. So I started reaching out to influencer after influencer. And honestly, I had door after door slammed in my face. People saying, oh no, I don't like resale. It's not on brand for me. I don't do secondhand. And I had almost given up. And I remember reaching out to Lydia Millen at the time, and I guess she gets a million messages, so she probably didn't see mine. And I thought, oh, well, obviously our account's too small for her to even be interested in. And I remember a few months went by, and I opened my Instagram, and the account is blowing up. And we've gained about 20,000 new followers in the space of an hour. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Is this fake? And suddenly I see that Lydia had done all these stories about Sellier completely organically. She'd found the account, she'd seen the stories, the content had resonated with her, and and honestly, this still gives me goosebumps because it was so kind of her to do. And she went on her platform and she started talking about the account organically without payment, and things just blew up. I think in that one day we did £200,000 worth of sales.
Mental.
Thanks to her. And we
That
were
is
a young
crazy.
business, just me and my mum starting out.
Thanks, Lydia.
Yeah, thanks, Lydia.
And then full circle, from Lydia Millen giving you that boost you needed at the start, she was then the business you chose to sell all of her handbags with.
Yeah, that was amazing. Obviously, we filmed the content
Yeah.
together earlier this year, and it was incredible just to see the response to that and how people are still so engaged with the whole luxury trend thing and what luxury influencers are doing.
I don't know if it's a known fact or not. I feel like some people know, some people don't. That I actually run the Sellier TikTok account.
Yeah.
So Sellier were one of my marketing agency's first clients. And I basically saved up to buy a Chanel classic flap. That was like my dream bag. And back in 2021, everyone wanted a vintage Chanel bag with the lambskin leather and the gold hardware. That's what everyone wanted. You couldn't even get your hands on them because everyone wanted them. So I contacted Celia and I said, I want a Chanel bag. I want to post it on my TikTok. I think I had like 400,000 followers. First of all, can you find one for me? And secondly, if I make a TikTok, will you give me a discount? Negotiation from the start.
And I remember Ayaz, my brother who I run the business with, calling me up and saying, there's this influencer called Isobel Lorna. She's on TikTok. And I said, TikTok? Oh my God, who's on TikTok? No one was on TikTok back then.
So I basically rocked up to the Sellier store, all excited to buy my first ever Chanel bag, which, to be honest, still feels like that was a big achievement for me, buying a Chanel bag when I was 21. So I rocked up to the Sellier store with my little blazer on. I can literally remember the exact outfit I had on. And I went in and there was this guy in there called Ayaz, who I hadn't really met yet.
Yeah.
I just kind of messaged him on Instagram. He had his Dior crossbody bag on with his little outfit, really chirpy, loads of banter. And I was like, who is this guy? Anyway, so he sold me the bag. You know, I made my little video. And then he was like, what do you want to do when you finish your apprenticeship? And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to start my own marketing agency. And he just goes, why don't you just do that now? And I was like, oh, yeah. Well, I was like, well, I need to get my degree. I want to get my degree and then I'll do it. And he was like, okay, I don't really know what you need that for, but whatever. You know, he just met me. He doesn't really care that much. So then I was driving home from the gym a few days later and I got this message from someone else saying, hey, Isabel, we noticed that you've got a lot of TikTok followers. Maybe you could help us with our TikTok. And then I just had this light bulb moment. I was like, hold on, I'm good at running my own TikTok and other people want me to run theirs. So why don't I just sack off this whole apprenticeship degree thing and just start the business now? Because I was starting to earn a lot of money from influencing and it wasn't really making sense that I was going to the office every day to film these videos. But I didn't want to quit and just become another influencer that had dropped out of their 9 to 5. So instead I kind of had the corporate spin of starting a marketing agency. So I text Ayaz about 5 days later. Actually, I think I sent him a voice note. If I can find it, I'll play it into this clip. And I just said, hey, I want to run the TikTok. Can I do it? And he said, yeah. And that is how Celia became one of my first ever clients. I think when I started the account, we had about 100 followers.
Yeah.
And now
nothing.
we've got 450,000. And that account literally feels like my child. I feel like we've nurtured it over 3.5 years and just have continually had to come up with new ideas, new concepts. New idea, new concept, new idea, new concept.
And we have
every
this
single
one
week.
philosophy that we always bring to every filming day. What is?
Maximum effort.
Maximum reward.
Yeah. And that basically just means you have to show up and put your all into something, because if you
No
don't,
excuses, no days off.
if you don't, you'll regret it. And if you do, you only ever feel grateful for putting in 100%.
Exactly. What's the worst that can happen? You're going to be a bit tired at the end of the day. Boo-hoo. Oh.
Let's talk about some TikTok figures since we're on the subject. You know the answer to this. I haven't checked for a while. How many views have we had in the past year on our TikTok account?
Ooh, off the top of my head, 275 million.
275 million views is
mad.
crazy. And just for
Crazy.
context, I think I've had 450 on my own account. So
That's incredible for a business to have 275 million, because it's fine for an individual creator, but for a business, that's mad.
I feel like I've asked you to do a lot of crazy things for the Sellier TikTok account, but what is the craziest thing I've ever asked you to do?
I mean, paddleboarding with a mini Kelly is probably up there. A £25,000 handbag, and it wasn't fake, by the way. 25k handbag on the back of a paddleboard. I'm pretty dyspraxic at the best of times, so that was quite scary, I must say.
Second up.
Oh, what was the second? Going on the Serpentine in London.
Yes.
With my Birkin bag, filming some content. The bag falls in.
And one thing we talk about a lot is dealing with hate comments online. You have a really good opinion on this. So how do you deal with getting negative comments on your business account? Because people are leaving these comments on your business account. It's not even your personal account.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
To be honest, I've always been quite good at not taking things personally, because I've always understood that these people, they don't really know you. So they just see a figure on the internet and they project whatever they want to project onto you. So half the time I don't even read them. And if I do, I just think, oh, fine. And then at the end of the day, people have to remember that engagement is gold when it comes to creating content and growing a business. So whether it's bad comments or good comments, at the end of the day, it's someone engaging with my business and the content we're putting out. And that's why we get 276 million views in a year.
A lot of people say that just because you get views on TikTok, it doesn't equate to sales. What would your response be to that? What's your experience been?
I think that's very easy to say and quite reductive. From what I've seen with my own business, it's actually completely the opposite. So case in point, earlier in the year, I went to Paris to try and buy the Jane Birkin Birkin at the Sotheby's auction.
Which was crazy, by the way.
Mad. It was the most expensive bag to have ever sold at auction, 8.6 million. And the content we created together went absolutely viral. Each of the videos had around 10 million views. So in a few days, we had 50 million views, just in a few days.
And just to point out as well, our most viewed video, our most viewed and liked TikTok ever to this day is still a video I made in about 30 seconds. When Jane Birkin died, I was like, right, Celia are literally an account dedicated to Hermes. We need to be the first people to make a video for Jane Birkin and show our respect for her, etc., etc. And that video, I literally searched up Jane Birkin on Google Images. I screenshot the images, put them to the first song that came up, and it is to this day our most viewed and liked TikTok.
How many views did it get?
Like 15 million or something? Is it more?
Madness.
I think it might be more. But that is just an example of that. It doesn't matter how much you create your content. If it's not on trend and it's not current, people don't care, which is why the Jane Birkin auction content did so well. We were the only resale business that bothered to go to that auction and to create content. And Sotheby's loved it. They were waiting for your arrival.
Yes, they were. So after the Jane Birkin TikTok, within a few days, I think we had an extra 800k worth of orders from brand new clients buying a mess. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Crazy.
So people say that TikTok doesn't get you sales, but you've seen an £800,000 increase from just going to Paris to make some TikToks?
Think about how much you would have to spend on Google ads for the same conversion.
Millions.
Millions.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
This is the thing with Hermes is that they've created such a big demand that people will spend whatever they need to spend just to get their hands on one of these little bags.
Exactly. I mean, playing the game is exhausting. Going into the Hermes store, begging, hoping to get what you want, not knowing the time frame. Wouldn't you rather just have clarity and pay to get what you want?
And the kind of clientele that have the money to buy these bags from Hermes also have the money to just buy one on resale. And explain to the listeners that might not understand, how is it that the smallest Hermes bag that's the cheapest goes for the most money? Because I could walk into Hermes on Sloane Street and buy a mini Kelly for £6,000, and I could then walk around the corner to Sellier and sell it for £25,000. So in that quick amount of time, half an hour,
Yep.
I've made £19,000. How does that work?
It's very much trend driven. So for the last few years, the customers really driving demand for Hermes have been Asian customers, and they've always had a preference towards smaller bags. So the mini Kellys, the Birkin 25s. So on the resale market, those bags are the ones performing best. So you can see my Birkin in the back, that's a Birkin 35. And on resale, it's only around 14k. If it was your sized Birkin, which you have with you today, it would be like 20, 25k on resale, just because it's smaller.
That is really interesting.
Madness.
So how much did you make last year selling handbags?
So last year we made £20 million.
Wow.
And the year to date, we're already 50% up on last year.
That is mental.
It's crazy.
For people buying handbags,
From people buying handbags.
would you have believed when you were 21 making those little YouTube videos in your room?
Oh my God, those
She
YouTube
didn't wanna bring those
videos.
up.
Why did you have to bring that up?
So
Isobel.
Hanushka used to make videos
Oh my
about her
God.
Birkins on YouTube. They might still be up there, guys, if you have a look.
Please don't look.
But would you have, if someone had told you when you were 21 with your little camera in your bedroom filming a Birkin that you would be able to create a business that's making £25 million a year, would you have believed them?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Yes, I would have.
So you have a lot of people that work for you. What are some qualities you look for when you're hiring?
I always recruit for attitude and personality. I don't really look at where someone's worked, what their academic pedigree is. Don't care. As far as I'm concerned, they need to be nice, easy to work with, and I like working with people who you kind of give each other energy, which I think is why we work so well together.
Yeah, and I've recently been saying the same thing. So I recently put a job ad out for a marketing assistant at What Social. I think we had over 300 applications, and everyone sent me their CV, their cover letter, blah, blah, blah. And I said on the application, if you really want to stand out, send me a video about yourself, because that's going to immediately show me your personality, what your energy's like, etc., etc. And actually, what I did when I was going through those 300 applications is whoever had attached a video, I watched. And if you didn't, I didn't look.
Tough luck.
And I didn't look at the CVs. I didn't look at the cover letters. I don't care what university you went to. I don't care what GCSEs you got. I want to know what you're like as a person. And I think that's maybe what people don't realise when they're applying for roles and they're trying to get a job, is that actually normally it comes down to what you're like as a person, and actually the qualifications don't matter as much. So moral of the story is you should never worry about applying for a role that you might be underqualified for, because normally it comes down to your personality over everything else.
Yeah, just show up authentically as yourself, great attitude, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the job.
I actually saw a really good quote the other day. I think I sent it to you, and it said, if a great opportunity comes your way, don't turn it down because you don't know how to do it. Accept it and learn how to do it whilst you go along. And I just thought that is actually the case with most things we do. We don't know what we're doing.
We always just grab the bull by the horns, don't we,
yeah,
Isabel?
and we don't really even plan anything. We just
for
kind
it.
of go for it with the attitude of like, we'll manage.
It's always
can
going to
do
work
it.
out.
Yeah.
I remember what you said to me the other day. You called me up and you said, you know what I think? And I said, what do you think, Isabel? And you said, I think between you, me and Ayaz, there's no problem in the world that we couldn't solve.
That is sweet. That is actually a really sweet thing for me to say.
Yeah, it
That was my act of kindness for you down for the year. What advice would you give to anyone listening that wants to break into the world of fashion? Because you're also on the British Fashion Council.
So from the outside, fashion looks like a lot of glamour, a lot of exciting things going on. But in reality, like any other job, it's a tough slog. So understand the reasons why you're doing it. So what do you want to get out of it? And once you understand that, just keep applying, look for people who inspire you and try and get within businesses that inspire you and that are going to make you grow.
Rumour has it you have 642 handbags. If you could only keep one handbag for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
I would choose my pink Birkin 25 in Rose Sakura. Easy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
I just love the colour because it's so not me, but it just brings me so much joy.
So from a different angle, I would choose your picnic Birkin because it makes us get the most views on TikTok.
That's true.
And the other day, Hanushka said, I might sell my picnic Birkin. I said, don't you dare. Because every time we put that on our content, it does well because it's a bizarre kind of looking bag. We've looked at it too much, so we don't find it bizarre. But to a normal person's eye, why is there a Birkin made out of a picnic material?
It's a £60,000 bag, but the cost per wear of that bag is now basically free because
Basically
of how much.
free because we've got so many TikTok
views.
As if
It's
you're
free.
listening,
It's a free bag.
It was free. Okay, so you are very much into your beauty like me. So I want to show you something. So these are the Nishu gummies, which I haven't shown you yet, but Hanushka does love beauty
love a gummy.
gummies. So they actually do 3 different types. They do beauty, immunity, and calm. I'm not going to give you the calm ones
No,
today
please
because
don't.
they might make you fall asleep. But I am going to get you to try one of these.
Okay.
Tell
Can I
everyone-
smell? Let me smell. They smell like sweeties,
So
like
this
Haribo.
flavour, these are blueberry flavoured and they are the only gummy brand that have no added sugars. So there are other gummies that have all the sweeteners and stuff in. So these help with your skin, hair and nails. They've got biotin for your hair, which is a very important thing for your hair to grow long and strong.
It's a little bear.
I know they're little teddy bears. Try it. They've got keratin to make your nails strong.
That is so good.
It tastes like a sweet, doesn't it?
That is unexpectedly good.
Right?
Can I have one more?
Yeah, you can. You can have 2 a day. So what I tend to do with these is I have 2 of each of the types after my dinner, and it's like dessert. It's like having a little
Gorgeous.
bowl of sweeties.
Love that.
And I will let you have.
Immunity.
So these are my favourites. They are the immunity, and they're raspberry flavoured, and they are little raspberry shaped. Try that.
Very good.
They're nice, right?
Yeah.
So they've actually got on the back a whole list of all the goodies they have in them.
So let's see. Let me have a look. Vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, B12, zinc. I hate zinc normally because it makes me sick, but this doesn't. Wow. Selenium. Oh, gosh. What don't they have?
So they've got your vitamins for your skin, your keratin for your nails, and your biotin for your hair. And it's like a little
Gorgeous.
beauty. It's like a little beauty tablet in a cute, sweet form.
Everything you need.
This is my favourite part of the podcast. Let's go through what's in your bag.
Oh, God.
I know, I actually
Fine.
didn't warn you about this today.
You didn't. And actually, you'll be very surprised what's in my bag. So, in October, I'm going to Harvard.
You
I'm going to
are!
Harvard, which is so random. I applied on a whim, didn't think I'd get in, and I did. So I've got all my preparation materials here. Not me being a dork.
Not Hanushka going to Harvard
Not
to do
Hanushka
a tour.
studying.
Can I come?
I've got some pens.
Ignored me.
Huh?
I said, can I come?
Yeah, you can. You can make content legally
I actually
blonde.
want to come, yeah.
I've got some pens.
How many pens does a woman need?
I know, I'm making mind maps. You need the pens.
Is this a bank? She's planning to rob a bank. Like, what is going on here?
Don't ask. I've got a little gold bar because when I study, I need to keep my blood sugar levels up.
Okay, yeah.
Helps me think. Then when I think too hard, I need headache pills, so I've got some paracetamol. I've also got some Lemsip. I'm making myself look like a hypochondriac, which I'm not. Okay, this is random.
Where's your laptop? You always have your laptop.
Yeah, I do. Laptop.
Mine? Why is yours blue?
They're the same.
Oh.
And guys, this is quite random. I don't think I should tell you what this is.
What is this?
It's an intimate wipe spray.
Oh, I love that.
So you go to the loo and you go, and you
On
just
your puss?
on your poon poon,
On your pum-pum? It's a pum-pum spray.
and you like wipe.
It smells nice.
And you're like really fresh. That's the idea. Like, why do I have that?
I thought this was the hand sanny.
No, it's better. Hairbrush,
Yeah.
hand spray.
Me and Hanushka were mesmerised when we learned that this hand sanitizer spray business that launched in the lockdown sold for how much? 800 million.
Madness.
For a hand sanitizer brand. Crazy.
And my favourite all-time beauty product, this is not a plug of any sort, it's legit, are these Shiseido blotting papers.
Well, that was going to be my next question.
Oh, well, there you go. Because I am we're not going to say oily, I'm a very dewy girl, okay, dewy. So I use these and you go tick, tick, tick. And it takes all the oil off your skin and you're perfectly matte.
And sometimes I'll turn up and Hanushka's like, oh, you need
I'll be like, you
need a
need to blot,
Shiseido.
you need to blot.
You need a blot.
Yeah.
They are great to keep
They're
in your
amazing.
handbag, to be
Love
fair.
it. This is a bag I don't particularly like, but I can't let go of because it's the first bag that my husband got me.
Cute.
And he got it for Valentine's Day in 2013. So the year before we got married. And yeah, it's a very special Hermes Birkin 35 in box leather with this guilloche hardware, which was only made that year. And at the time, Birkin 35s were a vibe. So yeah.
They're coming back.
They're coming back apparently.
They're just too, it's bigger than you.
It's bigger than me.
Little mini girl. If you could only take one beauty product to a desert island with you, which one would it be?
Okay, this is quite random, but I am obsessed with this. I start my day with this stuff. I end my day with this stuff. If I could bathe in this, I would. Rose hip oil.
Really?
So niche. Okay, but...
My mum used to give that to me when I was younger.
So basically...
In a spoon?
No, not to eat. Not
Yeah,
like castor oil.
have you had it though?
No, I put
should
it on
try
my
it.
body. So you put it on your body and it gives you the softest skin on the planet. You wake up the next day and your skin is smooth as a baby's. And what I love about it is that it's non-greasy. It absorbs straight away. It's moisturising. It's full of vitamin C. It's like the best.
I've never heard of that.
Try it on your body. It's better than any moisturiser you will ever use. I use this brand called Pi Organic Rosehip Oil. It's the best thing on the planet.
Noted.
End of.
Okay, last question before you have to leave the KA. Is there anything you regret not doing in your career so far?
I don't really have many regrets. I guess maybe I wish I'd started my business a bit earlier. But otherwise, no, not really.
That's a good regret to
Yeah.
have. Okay, anything you want to ask me before you get out of the car?
Are you working on anything new and exciting right now?
I am. So, other than the podcast, which we obviously just launched, I am co-founding a beauty brand
Oh, how
in
exciting.
the imminent future. Whether or not anyone will know about it, I don't know. Maybe you'll find out when it sells for £100 million.
Can't wait to hear all about it.
Hanushka, thank you for being my passenger on today's episode of Passenger Princess, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.